Okay, this is the second time on this property tax video now, because the last one was 30 minutes long. It's just way too long for people to sit and listen. I'm going to try and do this very quickly, so bear with me, and I will probably skim over this, because this is really for people that are just stumbling on this stuff now. If you already know about this stuff, great. But this is really for the people that are just sort of getting into this kind of mindset and looking at this stuff. This is initially how I got into this stuff, was looking at property taxes and why the hell was I having to pay. In fact, I ended up building a house on my land, and I built it my own labour, and I paid for it as I went. So it was all paid for with my own labour, okay? And all of a sudden I've got to start paying extra tax on that. I'm thinking, you know, some people can take that money and go and invest their extra money in whatever and not get taxed on it. I'm here, Muggins is here, putting the labour into this thing and putting my own money into it that I could have spent on something that wasn't taxable, and I'm now paying tax on this. Something's not right. Anyway, I started looking into this sort of stuff, and I got into all the land patent stuff and all these other things, and eventually, after a number of years now, I've come to the conclusion, well, you'll come to this conclusion eventually, is that when you apply basic common sense to the whole thing, you'll realize that any fiction cannot own anything material. Okay, it's an impossibility. So this idea that the corporate US has the jurisdiction of owns Washington D.C., or has jurisdiction over the little pieces of paper that they call FRNs, or anything physical in this world, any kind of property, any kind of land, any kind of housing, and when I'm talking about property, I'm just talking about physical matter, okay? Fictitious entities, corporations, persons, whatever they are, cannot own anything physical in this world. They're essentially a ghost, okay? They can't own anything physical in this world. You acting as the name on that birth certificate are acting as a person, okay? That person cannot own anything physical in this world. All that you're doing right now is you are trading with, well, I say trading with, you are accepting a colour of title. It is not the title for that land or that property. It is simply an idea. It's simply a make-believe idea that that bit of land has this title attached to it, and now that's yours, and you own that land. Well, it's not real. It's just not real, okay? You don't own nothing, okay? And guess what? They don't own nothing either. They're not even charging you rent on that. All they're doing, that tax that they're charging you, is just an administrative fee for their services of administrating the fairy tale story that's going on here. I hate to call it a fairy tale story. It's just, it's just hocus pocus. It's just BS. Okay, it's just all made up mumbo jumbo. Okay, it's just a story. Okay, and they're administrating the story, and they got to be paid for that. Okay. At some point during this whole thing, there is an idea there that when you're acting as that real man, that somehow you are you are when you take on that identity, you are giving them that land, maybe that you own, that you think you own, that you are giving them that land. I go to make it clear, it's impossible for that thing to own land. It's just an idea of land ownership. It's a complete idea, okay? Nothing fictional can, I can only say this so many times, but nothing fictional can own land. So what's the solution? I hear you asking right now. Come on, you can't just keep repeating yourself, Dan. What's the solution to this? The solution is you have to claim that land that you have possession of, clear and free, and that there's no other parties that might have an interest in it. Because the problem is there is an attachment of a real man at some point to the person, okay? And if that real man has any kind of claim on it, if there's anybody else with any kind of claim on it, that you're going to run into trouble. But that's, for the most part, that's not going to happen, because most people have, already got the deed, or it's, and the other guy's already been paid off, or the bank's got the deed, the colour of title. There's not going to be that problem. Now, there is going to be the bank, but you see, they're not real either, okay? And the so-called money that they have is not real either. So I think you can circumnavigate the bank to a certain extent, and you can claim it. But that doesn't mean that you can just simply not pay that debt off under the guise of your person, okay? And it's getting complicated. But the way to deal with this is to make the claim as the real man, make the declaration or some kind of statement of intent of what your will and wishes are as regards to claiming your land, and you would just claim possession of it. That's your natural right under God, as long as you're not claiming somebody else's stuff, okay? Because that's basically what natural law is you just don't take anything that somebody else has already, okay? But that doesn't entitle somebody, though, to have more than their fair share. So you have to look at what you're claiming and decide whether it's right, and make sure you're not, because you can't just go around and say, oh, I'm going to claim 1 million acres, because that's what, do you know what I mean? You still have to kind of operate under that illusion to a certain extent with your, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a word here, with your respect for other people and what they have a right to as well. So make the claim, and then somehow you've got to go and notify the fictional entity of this claim. The fictional entity being, the county recorder's office or whatever, to say that you have claimed this land as the real man. Do not claim it under the birth certificate name. That's their name, okay? That's nothing to do with you. That's a whole different story. That's just something you've gone along with. That's their name, okay? Anything associated with their system, even legal language, that's their deal. If you're doing your claim, you want to do it in your own words. You want to make that clear on the claim that this is in your own words and your own language, or whatever you want to write, but you need to make it clear that it's in your terms, so they can't construe anything that you put on there. Because if you don't know, I mean, and let's face it, I don't know all the legal jargon for everything. So if you don't want to get trapped in that, don't operate in it, Anyway, you've got to notify them somehow. So this brings me to a thing that I wanted to bring up, and I brought it up in my last video, and I'll whiz through it real quick. And that is, if you're going to notify them, how do you go about notifying them? Because I keep hearing a lot of people saying, send them an offer for them to accept or whatever, blah blah blah. Send it certified mail so you have a receipt. Let's think about that for a minute. Just think about what you're saying for a minute, right? You're going to send your document certified mail, and don't worry about mail fraud nonsense. That's all BS for a real man, because he can't have anything to do with. I mean, if they want to deliver a letter from a real man, that's up to them. And it's all fictional anyway. But the fact of the matter is, who says what's in that envelope? I mean, you've got your word that you put in the document, but when they get the thing the other end, they've got no obligation to even deal with it. Especially as it's not from another fiction, because you'd have to send it as the man, I think. You can't be going. I don't think you can really be dealing through the fictional person. You don't want to do that, because that could get you into a mail fraud situation there as well. But the best way to deal with this, because there's no guarantee of what was in that envelope. They can just turn around and say, well, yeah, we received an envelope, but we don't know what was in the envelope, and it's disappeared. You know. There was nothing in the envelope. That's all they've got to say. Who's to blame? Who's to blame? You've got to go down there. Just go down there as a man. Hand it over to whoever's, somebody in charge. I would say the attorney that's down there. Hand it over to him, and you've got to have two copies of your statement, and you've got to have him sign off on both of those copies to say that he received. So you have a receipt on both documents you have a counterpart document that are identical, counterpart to one another, and now they've got it, and you've got a receipt to say that they got this document. Okay, that's the only way to do it. I hate hearing these people that say send it certified mail so you get a receipt. There's no proof of what's in that flipping envelope. That's your problem with certified mail. There's absolutely no proof. I mean, I guess you could. The only real thing you could do, maybe, and this is not going to be hard proof, you've got to have a proper, I hate to say the word document, but you've got to have a proper document. I guess you could maybe record it and get it on film. That you put it in there, and the mail lady gave you the receipt for it, and she took it, and it went, and you could maybe do it that way, but that's getting into a whole lot of bother there, when you could just go down and get them to actually sign for it. Make sure they sign it where you can recognize who it is. Anyway, I wanted to put that in there because I think that's an important thing as well. Anyway, I don't know where I've got to now, but once you've got them having notice of it, now the ball's in their court. You can see whether they go ahead and commit fraud on the person, on your person, and just go from there. Basically, it doesn't actually necessarily have to be a massive document, and it actually doesn't really necessarily have to be very time consuming. I mean, literally post notice for a month in a public place. If it were me, most homes have an entrance or some kind of public frontage where you can post that notice. That's good enough for me. That's in the world, it's in the public. You can go one step further and maybe go put it in a public building, maybe the courthouse. You could go down and put it in the courthouse, and I don't think you really want to necessarily deal with them putting I don't know, a notary stamp on there, but you could do that, I suppose. But I'd just rather stay out of the system completely when it's to do with that. And again, even though the building's public, you're kind of stepping into their arena. It's the same with a court. Even though it's public, even though they don't have any jurisdiction on, you're kind of stepping into their arena. I don't know. I will probably put mine up in the courthouse or a public library or something, somewhere public, church. I don't know. I'm just going to put it up on the gate. To tell you the truth, that's probably where I'm going to put it. That's a public right of way there. It's in the public. So once it's there for a month, then I'm going to go notify them. That's how I would do it right now. I haven't done it, and at the minute I'm still going through my procedure and what I'm going to write on my declaration and everything. And there's new bits of information that keep coming up. I mean, if you're thinking about writing it yourself, here's a channel I'd go to, is the GLOSSA channel. Go and watch some of those videos over on that channel, because they talk, and they've also got another channel, these guys that run that one, I guess, called Justinian Deception as well. Justinian Deception. I'll put it in the link the comments, the description. Get it right, Dan. I'll put it in the description so you can go and check those two channels out. But they talk about how documents are written and the language that's used on them. You know, so you've got to be careful when you're doing this stuff. But as long as you're clear that you're talking in your own language, I guess, and as long as you're clear about what you're saying, then it can't be misconstrued. That's all you're really aiming for. And you're not aiming to do, you don't really want to be aiming to do anything within their system. It wants to be outside of their system. The only thing that you're going to do when you do give them notice is you're just going to give them a polite notice to say, look, I'm just giving you notice that I have this land now, and you want to be careful about committing fraud with the persons within your system, you know. But anyway, once they know about it, I mean, I'll see, won't they? I'll see what happens, and I'll see if I get a prorated bill or whether I get a bill for the year, and I'll go down there and sort it out when it comes, rather than. It would be nicer if they sent me a bill up front, but we'll see. That's it. I ain't got any more to say. That's 20 minutes. The last one was 30 minutes, so this is a little bit better. I say 20 minutes, it's 17 something, 17, 18. Counting it down. Anyway, if you like, subscribe, pass the message on. There's a lot of people out there that need to know this stuff, and I'm not happy with the way some people act. And you know, all these judges, I'm pretty sure most of these judges know what's going on, and I'm pretty sure there's probably some well-versed attorneys out there that know what's going on, and it's just wrong. You know, it's just wrong. There's no other way to put it. It's not right. That's another way to put it. But it just ain't right, you know. Technically speaking, they're not doing anything wrong. But deceit is, I don't know. Anyway, pass the message on, get the message out, and that's the end of that one. Bye.